Okay, increasingly complicated Venn diagrams. They say there's 400 households, 285 have PVRs. Don't write that here. This is the same issue as in previous examples. There's 285 people in the circle, but we don't know how many of them are PVR only and how many of them are in the overlap. Similarly, there are 320 people, they say, with multifunction printers, but we don't know how many just have a printer and how many are in the overlap. And finally, we have 63 that don't have either one of those. Well, we know where to put them. They're out here, outside both circles. That helps a little bit. Big P is the households that have a PVR. I don't really like the way they define this because if they're talking big P, that covers this entire circle, including the overlap part. And this M that they're talking about covers everybody with a multifunction printer. That's everybody in this whole circle, including the overlap. Those are not very helpful variables to have. So I'm going to tweak this a little bit. I'm going to put big P there and big M there to remind us that they cover both of those sections. I'm going to put a lowercase p out there and a lowercase m in each of these sections. This P means just the left section here. These are people who have PVR and that's it. The lowercase m represents the far right section here, people who have a multifunction printer, and that's it. And now they say use X for the number of households that have both. So here's our X. So big P, the people who have a PVR, would be little p and X combined. Big M, the people who have a multifunction printer, would be X and little m combined. Those are the two shapes that make up that circle. Fair enough? Sorry about all the labeling up front, but that's what they're asking us to do, and I'm trying to follow the examples so that I and the workbook kind of work in the same direction. So mark X and 63 in the appropriate parts, check. X is the people who have both gizmos, and 63 is the people who have neither. Now, write an expression for the number of households who have a PVR, that's the left side, but not a multifunction printer. That means just this group here. Fortunately, I have a name for that. That's lowercase p. Now, how could we solve for that? Well, we can't yet, but we can at least write an expression for it. I'm going to start a little bit differently. First thing I'm going to write is, for all of these sections combined, we have little p, and we have X, and we have little m, and we have 63. Okay, so left section, middle section, right section, and then the outside section. Here they all are. All that has to make 400 because they said there's a grand total of 400 households. So from here, if they want the people that just have a PVR, that's small p. We can solve for that. P is going to be 400 minus 63 is 337 minus X and also minus M. Now, that's got two variables in it, and I don't know what either one of them is yet, so I can't solve this, but at least we have an expression for it. That's a start. Write an expression for the number of households that have a multifunction printer. That's just little m, right? The ones that have a multifunction printer but not a PVR. That's this group over here on the right. The right circle, but not the middle part. These people have PVRs, these people do not. So, oh, they want us to write this expression in the appropriate part of the Venn diagram. Sorry, so this P, let's see if I can fit this in, is 337 minus X minus M. For this part, they want the ones who have a multifunction printer but not a PVR. You just solve this thing for little m, and not too surprisingly, you get 337 minus P minus X. Still can't solve it, annoyingly, but at least we're getting expressions, and that's usually a good thing. So our little m was 337 minus P minus X. Form an equation in X and determine the number of households in the survey who had both an MFP and a PVR. Well, the numbers we have not yet used are the 285 and the 320, so here's what we can do with this. From our left section, the left circle, one moment, I'll change colors to make this clearer. They told us that 285 households had PVRs. So everybody in this red circle has a PVR, and we know how many people that is. It's 337 minus x minus m plus x. And that has to add up to 285. All right, 337 minus x minus m is this section. Then x is the middle section. There it is. Grand total, that has to make 285 people. This we can solve, because something wonderful happens. Our x's cancel out here. We get 337 minus m equals 285. M has to be 52. So, little m over here is 52. I'm tempted to cross out little m to keep this from being so cluttered, but I'll just keep changing colors and I hope you'll be able to hang with me. Famous last words. Now, we can do that again with the right-hand circle because we know that there are 320 people in there. And let's see if that one can be solved. For that circle, we have x from the middle bit, and then we have 337 minus p minus x, and all that has to add up to 320. The x's cancel, which is great. 337 minus p equals 320. Little p must be just 17. So I'm just going to redraw this Venn diagram one last time we'll make sure all of our numbers check out. Because that was a lot of calculations, something could have gone wrong. Little p, I said, was 17. M on the right, we said, was 52. Oh, I haven't found x yet, have I? Whoops. How do we find that? Here we are here. Here's our improved Venn diagram. We have 17. We still have x in the middle, 52 on the right, and 63 on the outside. How do we find x? Well, we know that we have to have a grand total of 400 households. So we can write one last expression, 17 plus x plus 52 plus 63 has to make 400. If we add these up, what do we get? 80, 132, x plus 132 equals equals 400. So x must be 268 in that middle spot. 268. And if we add all that up, 268, 270, 320, 383, yes, we get a total of 400. And you can check all the other totals, like on the left circle. 268 plus 17 does indeed make 285. 268 plus 52 does indeed make 320, so all of our totals are checking out. Okay, so the lesson for questions like this is we always start in the middle. If we're given that number, then great, we start from there and work our way out. If we aren't given that number, we still start here. We give it a name, x, and then we start creating expressions containing x for everything else in the Venn diagram, and we work our way out again. You absolutely have to get this number before you can make any other progress. And if it has to be a variable, you just call it x, and then you start building your way out until you get enough data that you can solve it. So it's a bunch of simple calculations, just a matter of staying organized, and if you don't know a number for something, give it a variable name and keep on going.